In 1961, in a drugstore in Marion, Indiana, a woman named Susan set a bottle on the counter and asked what it came to before the druggist wrapped it. 98 cents. She put it back and asked what he had that did the same job. He sold her the other for 31. She just asked out loud in front of everybody, and the asking was worth 67 cents. That's the whole of what I want to give you today, and I'll be handing it to you in 14 pieces. Because there is money sitting in that big store out on the highway that they will never once announce over the loudspeaker. And most of it comes loose the same way Susan's did, by somebody saying a plain sentence out loud at a counter. Some of these are programs, some are quiet policies, a few are things the people who work there know perfectly well and are never going to volunteer. I'm going to be straight with you about which ones work every time and which ones will get you told no, because I've been told no myself, and I'd rather you heard it from me than found out at the register. Number 12 is money that may already have your name on it. Number 7 is the one everybody gets wrong, and I'll tell you exactly why. And number 1 is not a program at all. It's the one that saved me the most, and it costs nothing. I'm Ida. I'm 73, and I do my own shopping. I grew up in a house where money got counted out loud at the counter, and I've never lost the habit. I went and checked every one of these before I put it in front of you. Let us count down. Number 14, they'll load the car for you and it doesn't cost extra. Here's what they sell you now. A delivery fee every single time for the privilege of not carrying your own groceries. $9, $11, whatever it's up to this month. But if you carry their membership, the curbside pickup has no minimum order on it at all. None. You order from the telephone or the computer at your kitchen table, you drive over, you park in the numbered spot, you press the button on the screen, and somebody comes out and puts the whole lot in your trunk. You don't get out of the car, you don't cross that parking lot in February, you don't carry a case of water or a 20-pound bag of anything. And I want to say something about that because I think we've all got a little too proud about it. There is not one thing wrong with letting a young person lift the heavy end. My mother would have called that good sense, and she'd have been right. Now, this used to be ordinary. The grocery order went in on a Tuesday, and a boy brought it round on a bicycle with a basket on the front, and that was simply how a store worked. What it cost you was in the price. The cash and carry store down the road sold the same tin cheaper because you did the carrying yourself. In 1936, that difference ran around a nickel or a dime on a dollar's worth of groceries, which on a $6 shop is 40 cents a week, near enough $20 a year for the walk to the car. So the convenience was never free. It was just written on the window instead of hidden in a fee. Get the version where it's included, and you've put that 40 cents back in your pocket. One practical word, neighbor: set the pickup up once, sitting down, with somebody helping you if you'd rather, a daughter, a neighbor, the young man at the library who does this for people all day. It's fiddly the first time, and it is never fiddly again. And there's no minimum on it, so a pickup order of 1 loaf of bread is a perfectly reasonable thing to place, and nobody at that store thinks anything of it. Number 13, 10 cents off every gallon. Now, listen close, because this one is small and it's steady, and small and steady is how these things actually add up. That same membership takes 10 cents a gallon off at their fuel stations and at a long list of partner stations besides. 10 cents. It sounds like nothing standing at the pump. So do it the way my mother would have done it, which is out loud and per year. If you put in 12 gallons a week, and that's a modest amount of driving, that's the doctor and the church and the grocery. 12 gallons at a dime is $1.20 a week. 52 weeks of that is $62.40 in a year, off nothing but a card you were already carrying. I'll say one thing plainly here because somebody told me otherwise and they were wrong. Don't go believing every claim about what grade of fuel those partner stations sell. Check the pump. The dime is the dime, and the dime is real, and that's the part I'll stand behind. There's an older version of this, and you'll remember it. The filling station gave you trading stamps, a sheet at a time, licked into a book, 1,200 to fill one, and the catalog priced everything in books. A toaster was several of them, a blanket several more. In 1958, a woman would fill a book off her ordinary driving and set it in a drawer and start the next one. Nobody decided to save for a toaster. They just kept filling books off gas they were buying anyway, and the toaster arrived. That's this. Exactly. It's a dime you were going to spend, regardless, going somewhere instead of nowhere. Before we go on, tap subscribe. Not for me, friend, for the handing down. This is where these get said out loud again, and you'll want the next one. Number 12. The money that's already yours and you've never gone and got it. This one I want you to check tonight because it may be a $20 bill in an old coat pocket and it may be nothing, and there's only one way to find out. Their store rewards build up in the account without anybody telling you. You buy something that happened to be on a promotion, or you tap an offer without thinking about it, and $1 and change lands in your rewards balance and sits there. It doesn't expire loudly. It doesn't send you a letter. It just accumulates quietly for years in some cases. And once you've got $25 or more of it built up, you can walk to a staffed lane, a staffed one with a person, not the self-checkout, and ask them to cash it out. And they will hand you actual paper money. I know 2 women who did this on my say-so. One of them had $4, the other had 51, and she'd been shopping there since her husband died in 2018 and had never once opened the application. So it isn't a fortune, and I'm not going to tell you it is. It's a lottery ticket you've already paid for. Go and see. Here's the thing about unclaimed money, and it's older than any of this. Every house had a drawer with the partial books in it, trading stamps stuck in halfway and abandoned, the odd, loose sheet, a coupon gone past its date. My mother went through that drawer every January without fail, and I thought it was fussiness. It wasn't. She'd find $11 in there some years, in a house running on a good deal less than that a week, and she'd say the same thing every time. It isn't found money, it's money you already earned and forgot. My mother went through that drawer every January, and she never once called it saving. She called it collecting what was owed. Number 11, half price on the membership if you draw assistance. The membership runs $98 a year at the standing price. But there's a version of it, they call it Assist, that gives you every last benefit for $49. And here's the part that catches people. It has nothing to do with your age. You qualify by receiving certain government assistance. Food assistance, Medicaid, supplemental security income, a veteran's pension, federal housing assistance. That last one catches a lot of veterans who never once thought to look, and I've watched it happen twice. You go to their site, to the Assist page, and you verify through a secure service, and you're in. Same everything, half the money. $49 a year is about $4 a month, and $4 a month is less than one delivery fee. Now, I want to say the next part carefully. There are people who won't fill that in, not because they don't qualify, because saying out loud on a form that you receive assistance costs something, and I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. I've sat with women who'd sooner pay the full $98 than tick that box. If that's you, I'd ask you to think about who set it up this way. You paid into all of it your whole working life. It isn't charity and it never was. It's a thing you're owed, being made slightly uncomfortable to collect, and that discomfort was designed by somebody who benefits from you not bothering. And the towns I grew up in had no confusion about this whatsoever. The cooperative store took your membership number at the counter, wrote it in the book, and paid you a dividend at the end of the year on everything you'd bought. A few cents on the dollar back in your hand at Christmas. Nobody hid their number. Nobody felt small about it. It was simply understood that a person buying from the store had a claim on the store. And if you'd rather not, that's yours to decide, and I'll not push you. There's another door coming up in a minute that doesn't ask you anything about your circumstances at all. Number 10, the other door. If Assist isn't for you, the seniors organization, the big one, the one that's been sending you mail since the week you turned 50, has a discount on that same membership. $40 off the standing price, which brings it to $58 a year. And the membership in that organization costs somewhere around $15 or $20 for a first year. So even paying for both, you're still ahead of the 98. Just two practical things, and they matter more than they sound. First, you have to go through their side. Sign in at the organization's own site, find it under the member benefits, and start from there. If you go at it from the store's website instead, it generally throws an error, and people give up thinking they don't qualify. They do qualify. They just came in the wrong door. Second, you can't have this one and Assist both. It's one or the other, so work out which is cheaper for you and take that one. And write both renewal dates on the calendar on the wall, not in the telephone, on the calendar where you'll see it. These things renew themselves quietly at the full price, and they are counting on you not noticing, the same as every subscription ever invented. Work the arithmetic before you pick two, because the two doors don't come out level for everybody. 49 against 58 is $9 a year between them. But if you'd want the organization's membership anyway, for the other things it gets you, then the 15 or 20 you pay for that isn't really a cost of this at all. And the sums turn over. Sit down with a pencil for 4 minutes and you'll know. That's not a modern invention either. The mail order clubs did it in the 60s. The book club, the record club, the seed company. You got a cheap first year, and then it rolled on at the real price forever unless you wrote in and said stop. My mother kept a note of every one of them on the back of the kitchen calendar, and I do the same thing now. And I've never once regretted the 2 minutes. Number 9, the card in your wallet you've never turned over. This one isn't the store's program at all. It's your health plans, and the store takes it, which is why it belongs on this list. A great many people on a Medicare Advantage plan right now have a monthly allowance loaded onto a benefit card, money for groceries and over-the-counter health items. Depending on the plan, it runs anywhere from $35 a month to well over $200. There are people carrying that card in a wallet who have never spent a dollar of it, and it does not roll over. Every month it goes unused. It's simply gone. So here's your job, and it's one telephone call. Turn the card over, call the number on the back, ask them 2 questions, and write the answers down. Does my plan include a grocery or over-the-counter allowance, and is it accepted at that store? If they say yes to both, then that allowance stacks on top of everything else on this list. It stacks with the $4 prescriptions we'll get to. It stacks with the food assistance if you receive it, 4 separate streams of money on one trip in one cart. Nobody at that store is going to lean over and tell you about your own health plan. They can't. They don't know what plan you've got. The only person who can find this out is you, with the telephone, in about 4 minutes. And I'd not put it off, friend. That's not scarcity talking. That's just a monthly allowance with a use it or lose it on it. And every month you wait is a month gone. I'll tell you one I got wrong. I carried one of those cards 14 months and never turned it over because I took it for the insurance card. 11 months of allowance gone. I turn every card over now. Number 8, the last 2 digits. Here's the thing. Everybody who's ever worked in that store knows this, and almost no customer does, and it costs you nothing but your reading glasses. The prices end in particular numbers on purpose, and the ending tells you what stage of markdown a thing has reached. A price ending in 97 cents is the ordinary everyday price. That's not a sale, no matter how it's dressed up on the sign. Most of the store ends in 97. A price ending in 00 or 1 cent or 3 cents is generally the floor. That's final clearance, and it is not going to drop again, so if you want it, that's the day. A price ending in 50 cents usually means it's on the way down, and more markdowns are still coming, so if you can wait 2 weeks, wait. And a price ending in 88 cents is often somebody's discretionary markdown, a manager's special, a real one, made by a person rather than a computer. Once you can read those last 2 digits, you stop guessing. You stop buying a thing at 97 cents thinking you caught a bargain, and you stop walking past a 3-cent ending that was never coming back. Now, I'll be honest with you about this one because I'd not have you standing in an aisle arguing about it. Nobody at that company has ever published this. It's not a policy you can hold anybody to. It's a pattern that the people who work there have watched for years, and it holds most of the time, not all of the time, and it varies a little from department to department. So read it as a signal, not a promise, a reason to look twice at a tag or a reason to wait 2 weeks. Used that way, it's worth a great deal. Used as an argument at the register, it's worth nothing. There's nothing new in it. The grocer chalked his marked-down goods on a slate by the door, and the dry goods store put its ends and its seconds on one table near the back, and everybody in town knew which table that was. The information was always there. It just used to be written where you could read it without knowing a code. Number 7, and this is the one everybody gets wrong. I'm going to give you this one straight because I've read what people say about it, and I've been told no myself, standing at a register with my glasses on. You will hear that the store price matches. That is true in one narrow sense and false in every other. And the gap between those is where all the arguing happens. What they will do? If the item is listed cheaper on their own website than the tag on the shelf says, they will match their own online price. That's it. That is the entire policy as it stands now. What they will not do, match another store. Not the one across the road, not the one with the red circle, not the internet one. That went away years ago, and it has not come back. And no amount of standing at the counter is going to bring it back tonight. And here's the part almost nobody has told you. Those paper shelf tags are on their way out. They're putting in the electronic ones, store by store, right across the country. And when the tag on the shelf updates itself from the same system as the website, the gap between the two closes, which means the trick of catching them out of step is quietly dying while we speak. So use it while it's there. And use it politely and understand what you're actually doing. You are not demanding a discount. You are pointing out that 2 of their own prices disagree. And if the person at the register says no, let it go. Some are trained on it and some aren't. And I've never once seen arguing work. It costs you 20 minutes in your afternoon and you'll not win it. That's not you failing. That's a policy written vaguely enough that the answer depends on who's standing there. Number 6, and what to do if you haven't got a smartphone. The application on the telephone has a scanner in it. You aim it at the barcode, and it shows you what the system says that item costs, which is sometimes lower than the tag for the reason we just went through. That's the tip as it's usually given, and it's incomplete. So let me finish it. The signal in those stores is dreadful. Ask anybody. It works fine at the front by the doors and then dies somewhere around the middle of the building, which is precisely where the clearance ends up. So if you're going to lean on it, do your scanning near the front or connect to the store's own signal at the door before you go in. And now the part nobody says out loud. A great many people watching this haven't got a smartphone at all and are not going to get one, and there is nothing whatever wrong with that. So, here is the route without one. Every one of those stores has a price scanner or a service desk, and the desk can look up any item on their own system in about 15 seconds. Carry the thing to the desk and ask them what it rings up at. That is the same information the application gives from the same system, and it's free, and a person hands it to you. Half of what gets recommended these days quietly assumes a telephone in your pocket and a working signal, and then nobody mentions it. Well, I'm mentioning it. The desk has always worked, and it works still. And take a slip of paper and a pen with you, neighbor. Write down what the tag said and what the desk said, and hand that to the person at the register. 2 figures on a bit of paper is a great deal easier to be listened to than a woman holding up a telephone screen that's gone dim. And I say that as somebody who has stood there, holding up the dim screen. None of this got hidden because you weren't paying attention. A price you have to hunt for is a price they get to keep. Number 5, the yellow sticker on the slightly imperfect. This is their internal don't throw it away system, and it's the closest thing to a gold mine on this list. Department managers can mark down goods that are damaged or opened or missing something small, anywhere from a quarter off to half off. A coffee maker with a crushed corner on the box, a shirt short of a button, a patio chair with one scuffed leg. The thing works perfectly well. It simply can't be sold at full price, and they'd rather have half than have it sitting there. These get a sticker, and then they get scattered. That's the part that catches people out. They're not gathered on one table. They're put back on the shelf in their own department, in among the full-price ones, and if you're not looking at the tags, you'll walk straight past. So look in 3 places especially: the housewares, the clothing, and the electronics. And look at the tag, not the box. My mother would have understood this instantly because the dented tin table was a fixture of every grocery in America. A tin with a dent in the side went in a basket by the register at a third off, and the food inside was the same food. The seconds table at the dry goods store was the same idea. A bolt of cloth with a flaw in 3 inches of it, sold at a price that made the other yards a gift. And here's what I love about it. It isn't a sale. A sale is something they decided to do to move stock, and a sale is aimed at everybody. This is a fault in one particular object that happens to not matter to you. That's a different thing entirely, and it's a much better price. 2 things worth checking before you carry it to the register, mind. Open the box far enough to see that whatever was meant to be inside it is inside it. The cord, the little bag of screws, the manual, and ask at the desk whether it can still come back if it doesn't work, because on some of these the return goes away with the discount and on some it doesn't. Ask before, not after. Number 4, ask the department manager. Now this one requires you to open your mouth, and I know that's the hard part. Those managers are given a budget every month specifically for marking down clearance that isn't moving, and they've got discretion on the day to take more off at the point of sale. That's not a rumor, that's their job. So If you find a clearance item with an obvious argument attached to it, a dusty box, visible damage, a thing that has plainly been sitting there since spring, go and find the person who runs that department and ask pleasantly whether there's any flexibility left on it. Time it right and you'll do better. The end of the month when the budget's about to reset. The changeover between seasons, when the patio furniture has to be gone by a certain date, that's when the answer turns from no to yes. It works best on the big, awkward things: furniture, appliances, electronics, anything outdoor. It rarely works on groceries. And be specific and be friendly and take the first answer. The worst that happens is a no, and a no costs you nothing. Here's roughly how I say it, and you're welcome to it. I point at the thing and I say, I'd take this today if there were any movement on the price. Is that something you're able to do? That's the whole sentence. It names the day, it names what I want, and it puts the decision squarely with the person who's allowed to make it. What I never do is explain at length why I deserve it, because that turns a small favor into a negotiation, and nobody behind a counter has time for a negotiation. The Drapers did this every season of every year and thought nothing of it. Whatever was left when the season turned went at whatever it would fetch, because carrying summer stock through the winter cost more than losing on it. That's still true. It's just nobody writes it on the window anymore, which is exactly what Susan was doing at that counter in 1961. And it's the oldest move in this entire video. She didn't demand anything. She asked a plain question of the person whose job it was to know the answer. 67 cents that day. It adds up over a life. Number 3, go between 5 and 6 in the evening. Bakery, meat, and produce get marked down a day or two ahead of the date on the package. Sometimes 30% off, sometimes half. The food is fine. That's the whole point of it. It's being rotated, not condemned. Bread that was baked this morning is being marked down this evening because it will not be sellable at full price on Thursday. And it is exactly as good tonight as it was at 9 o'clock. And the timing is the tip. These markdowns generally go on after 5 in the afternoon, once somebody has walked the section with the gun. Shop at 10 in the morning and you'll never see one. Shift your weekly trip to between 5 and 6 and you'll see them every single week. Then pair it with the freezer, because that's where it turns into real money. A $14 family pack of chicken at half off is $7, and split and wrapped, that's 2 weeks of dinners for one person, or a good week for two. One caution, and it's the ordinary one. Look at what you're buying rather than at the sticker. If the package looks wrong, or it's warm, or the liquid in the bottom of it has gone off color, leave it there and lose the bargain. A marked down thing is still meant to be good on the day, and the discount is for the calendar, not for the condition. And get it home and dealt with the same evening. Split the big pack into meal-sized portions, wrap them properly, write the date on with a marker, and get them in the freezer before you sit down. The whole saving lives or dies in that 20 minutes. And I have lost more than one bargain to a bag left on the counter while I answered the telephone. There's nothing at all new here, friend. The butcher marked down on Saturday night because he wasn't open Sunday, and it wasn't going to keep, and the women in that town knew exactly what hour to walk down. My grandmother went at 8 on a Saturday evening, her whole married life, and she'd have told you she wasn't buying cheap meat. She was buying the same meat at the hour it stopped being worth full price. Number 2, the $4 list and the sentence you have to say. This is the biggest money on this list by a distance, and the way it's usually explained will lose you the discount. The store runs a program covering a long list of common generic medications at $4 for a 30-day supply and $10 for 90 days. No insurance, no membership, no enrollment of any kind. Blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, thyroid, a good many of the mental health ones. Now, 3 honest cautions because I'd rather you were prepared than disappointed. It says starting at $4, and starting is the operative word. There are higher tiers on that same list, up toward 40 for some of them. So ask for your own medication by name. Antibiotics aren't on it. Antihistamines and steroids aren't on it. And the pricing runs higher in 1 or 2 states and isn't offered in North Dakota at all. But here's the sentence, and this is the actual tip. You have to ask for the cash price out loud because if you hand over your insurance card, they will run it through your insurance every time automatically. That's the default. That's what the system does. And your insurance copay can quite easily be higher than $4. While nobody says a word about it, you have to say, what is the cash price on this on your generic program? 10 words. That's the whole trick. And do the arithmetic on the 90-day because it's daft not to. 3 separate 30-day fills at $4 is 12. One 90-day fill is 10. You save the $2 and you make 2 fewer trips, so ask your doctor to write it for 90 days next time. One more thing, and then I'll leave the pharmacy alone. Never change or stop a medication over a price. Ask the pharmacist whether there's a covered generic in the same family and let them talk to your doctor about it. That conversation is free and it's theirs to have, not yours. Before I give you number 1, look back at the 13 you just heard and ask what each one really asked of you. Not money, something smaller. And number 1 is the person behind the counter. It isn't a program. There's no page to sign up on and no card to carry, and I've saved more money on this one than on all the others put together. Be kind to the people who work in that store, not just at the pharmacy, everywhere in it. The young man stacking the shelf, the woman at the register at 8 in the evening, who has been on her feet since 2, the one in the yellow vest, who has been asked the same question 40 times today and is going to be asked it again by you. Learn a name if you're in there every week. Say good morning. Say thank you at the end. Ask how they're keeping. And I want to be clear that I am not telling you to be nice in order to get something, because that isn't kindness and everybody can smell it. I'm telling you what actually happens. The pharmacist who knows your face is the one who goes and looks for another way when your medication comes back at a price you can't pay. Not because there's a policy that says she must. There isn't one. Because you're a person to her and she has some room to move, and she'd rather use it on you. The department manager who's seen you every Thursday for 2 years is the one who says, "Let me see what I can do about that chair." Instead of saying it's clearance, that's the price. The woman at the register is the one who says, "Here, let me get that price checked for you," rather than the truth, which is that it's the end of her shift and there's a line. Every one of the 13 things I've just given you runs on somebody in that building choosing to help. The markdown, the price check, the flexibility on the chair, the $4 list. A person applies every one of those, and people have a little room, always, and they give that room to whoever has been decent to them. That's not a discount code. That's just what it's always been. Susan got 67 cents off in 1961 because she asked a plain question of a man she'd said good morning to for 11 years. And he had a cheaper bottle behind the counter and a reason to mention it. Nothing about that has changed. The building got bigger and the signs got brighter, and they put the prices in a code, but the last mile of it still runs through a person, and the person is still deciding. Be someone they want to help. It's free and it works, and it's the only thing on this list they can never take away. So tell me in the comments which one you'll do first. The card you'll turn over, the rewards you'll check, the 10 words you'll say at the pharmacy counter. And tell me if a clerk ever went out of their way for you, because I'd like that one told out loud.